7 reasons why prices house prices haven't crashed just yet. Yeah, a lot of stuff to go into this today. And then we're also going to do a little bit more into the GDP numbers and why the economy is staying so strong. We have a couple new charts based on the inventory because the ones that I had before, nobody liked. Let's get into this. 7 reasons why the housing crashes have not crashed yet. I got this from this guy right here, and the link is going to be in the blog. So if you want to watch what he's saying compared to what I'm saying, baby boomers have a huge amount of the inventory that are stacked up in the houses out there. I think it's 30 million houses, 50 million. They're locked up. They're not going to go anywhere. They're thinking about buying a beach house, or they're buying a resort house, or they're buying another house to go live in. And this report doesn't even talk about the institutional investors like BlackRock and whoever. They're buying tens of thousands of houses, keeping houses away from you as a home buyer, as a home owner. Home sellers are intrigued because they don't have to pay Vito, the realtor, because his rates are too high. It hurts everybody in the long run because prices are going to remain high. Inventory is continuing to stay low. Mortgage rates, everybody knows 2.5% for the longest time. Now that they're up, why would you sell your house at 2.5% and then buy another one at 7%? You bought into a house and I don't like this house, I don't like the schools, the area, I want to move to another place, afford more. You're not going to sell that house. You're going to continue to rent it, take some equity out and put a down payment on another house that's more affordable. But when you look at the two rates, the blended rate is still better than if you sold that house and bought another one at 6 or 7%. Many people are priced out of the market waiting for prices to crash, and the high interest rates are keeping them from doing it because of the affordability index, which we've talked about before. It's just not attainable for some people. We talked about it yesterday. We had the rent versus buy calculator and how much money you need to make in order to buy a house here in Silicon Valley. $1.7 million median priced house. And even if you're at the median income in Santa Clara County, you can't afford to buy the house. It just doesn't make sense for that to happen. New homes are not being built at the rate of our population growth. The amount of new homes being built has been a very small fraction of what it has been in the last 3 or 4 decades. We have new homes being built to match the population. Over the last decade, it started to tear down for the supply to maintain for the demand. So prices are going to continue. What happens if the market crashes? We don't know, right? We don't know because this is all uncharted territory. These are the major indicators as to why housing prices are continuing to go up. For home sellers, I have a couple listings right now. They're moving out of state or out of the area down to San Diego or wherever, and they're done. They made their money. That's what a lot of people do. That's a strategy we talk about with buyers. It's going to be very expensive for the next 5 years for you. So yeah, right now we're short about 6.5 million houses based on the demand. And in order to match the demand, they actually have to triple what they're building right now. This isn't going to stop for the next 10 years because there's just no way to ramp up and triple the amount of houses being built. They're buying developments of houses and turning them around and renting them, which I think is stupid. It's great for the investors and stockholders, but for us individual human beings that are trying to buy a house, you're just not going to be able to do that because it becomes less and less affordable. Month supply of inventory right now, I have numbers from the US perspective and then the Bay Area perspective. Anything that's over 6 months is typically considered a buyer's market. Anything under that is a seller's market. And historically, the Bay Area has been, over the last at least 3 years, I can tell you all the way back to when I got into this back in 2003, I got into real estate. It's always been a buyer's market. 2008, 2009, that was an anomaly, right? We're not going to go back that far. That's when prices did crash. So let's take a look at the US numbers. This is the last year's current month's inventory, and that's how we figure out if we're in a buyer's market or seller's market. And even in the US, on the average, we haven't been in a buyer's market, I don't know, I want to say 5 or 6 years. As we were getting out of that glut, like 2018, we saw a little bit of an inventory stall or a little bit of a market stall and the inventory grew. That was just a very small blip though. So right now we're at 3 months on average, a house takes to sell across the United States. That's the average. It got up to 3.6 in October because things started to slow down, but the demand was there. Even though demand slowed down, the supply has always been too short. And that's been our problem over here. And right now we have 665,000 homes for sale active, plus or minus, right? That was reported in January 2024. We don't know what February is until that report's out, and that won't be until like third or fourth week of March. So what I did is I actually went into every county and every city and I pulled the data for you. Instead of showing you all these boring numbers, I decided I was going to show you what the numbers look like in a visual. Now, the big blue bars are US inventory, or the US months inventory chart, right? I got that from our pal Fred. Now, there's some months that are going up. I think we're looking at consistently over 6 months, but we do have counties like Napa County. I said this all year long last year. Napa was a great place to buy. We saw housing value decrease over the year. Now, supply is short. Napa is 2 months. That's 63, 64 days of inventory. It's across the entire county, and every area is different. So there are some counties in the Bay Area hurting, but not right now. This one right here was, I think that's San Francisco, maybe. Monterey blipped up a couple times over 6 months, but now they're way down. Look, they're like, the inventory is so low right now, guys. Now, I just did this as well just to show you a number. You can actually take these numbers right here. These are the averages over the last 3 years. You can see nothing was over 6%. And let's take a look at this. Now, holy crap, this one's 28 months. Yeah, this is one area, Los Altos Hills. They sell 5 houses a month, maybe, and they're all the $32 million houses. So there's not a lot of billionaires out there that can afford a $32 million house, right? So that number skews, as well as the San Martin's an odd thing. It's not the price so much, but it's the lack of inventory, and there's not a lot of houses for sale in San Martin. I want to say there's 4 or 5 at any given time, and not everybody thinks San Martin. They think either Gilroy or Morgan Hill, not necessarily San Martin. If you look at this, the little microcosms here, let's take a look at, if you look at the average is 1.5 months on average. Los Altos Hills is 5.5 average. San Jose, straight line, it really isn't going anywhere, right? I think the highest was 2.8, and that's when we had that little increment with the rates went up from 2.5% to 7%. And everybody freaked out. Didn't really help the supply because the demand here is so great. And then really quick, I just want to talk about this thing right here. This is another example. And this is the same article I've been reading over the last week. Recent developments in the U.S. economy. We're still seeing growth in the GDP in all the different industries. I think it might be healthcare or automotive that tips this industry. Or it could be an exterior factor like China's economy implodes. We don't know. We could be doing stuff right now, all the conspiracy stuff that talks about how we're affecting the China economy, because 90% of the exports go to the US and we're keeping that economy afloat, buying all their little Temu stuff from Amazon. We are a industry of consumer. This market is not gonna, we can see the house of cards fall in a few minutes. Inventory is going to stay low compared to demand. If our rates go down from 6% down to 5.5%, we have a whole bunch more buyers in there. That means there's more competition. That means prices are going to continue to go up. What we need to see is our inventory blast off and get to a 6-month inventory, which in San Jose or Santa Clara County, we need to have that around 9, or San Jose needs to be about 800 or 900 units for sale at any given time. And right now we're at 200. And in Santa Clara County, we need to see that around 1900 to 2. And right now that's 58. Our inventory